movie maker.
Okay. Today is my vlog for today, my actual vlog. So today has been very interesting. I was very much looking forward to going to therapy and diving in around the really hard issues that have been going on emotionally and physically with me. Unfortunately, lovely Clayton stuff got in my way. So I'm not sure if I explained this to you. At a facility like this, they have, and at hospitals and I'm sure other places, they have these codes, and it's a way to get people, help. It's like calling 911, but on the speaker, to get people on a situation that's a really urgent situation. And they have, a medical code and a crisis code, an emotional crisis code. And at Albany Care, it was code green was medical and code yellow was a crisis code. And here it's Dr. Helper, it's really dumb, which is the crisis one, and Dr. Hart is the medical one. Why they did that, I don't know. But anyways, and every facility is different. At Albany Care, it was a much bigger facility and bigger, actual building area to walk around. So this could be part of it. Maybe part of it was just it wasn't such a big deal that when there was a code, obviously you would clear the immediate area. But it wasn't that big a deal. People would just watch. It was like our entertainment to see, oh my goodness, it's the same suspect. And it was usually something really simple, people are put on restriction for many reasons, and so that means they can't go out without a staff member. And so a lot of people will just try to run out the door. And then they call a code, so it's oh my goodness, the same person running out the door, the same person having an argument, the same person doing, but it was never a huge issue, we came here and I felt like I was in some kind of high, to me, some kind of high facility place, because when they call a code, the whole area, the whole floor needs to be cleared. That means everybody needs to go into a room, usually the dining room if you're downstairs, or the activity room, sometimes the reception area, but sometimes not, mostly not. If you're on your floor, you really should just go in your room, but you don't have to. But technically, I heard a couple of staff members say basically the whole building needs to stop doing what they're doing and no one can go anywhere. But that's not totally enforced, but absolutely the floor needs to be clear. There can be no residents there because of privacy and because of, I think, also the hallways are very narrow. There's less room, physical room in this building to get around. And so when there's a crisis and people are running, to get someplace, or someone's being aggressive, you need as much space as possible. So I understand that. But also the nature of the codes, the crisis codes, was very different. There are a lot of people here. This facility is a lot different. It's not people don't. At Albany Care, there was a lot of sitting and smoking, and people were calmer. But I think I've heard from many people that's because they were on more medication, and also a lot of people are a lot younger, so in their 20s, and I've heard that has a lot to do with it. It's just a different atmosphere, and a lot of it is kind of a charged, live wire type atmosphere where it doesn't matter if it's 7 in the morning. I don't know if it's just is down there at 5 in the morning, but we'll be down there at 7 in the morning, half asleep, and people are yelling and playing their music and up in each other's personal space, and you don't touch me and get away, and doing their thing, and it's how are you guys even awake? So it's a totally different atmosphere. There are less people, but I think there's more charge, if that makes sense. So right from the get-go, the codes would be very bad. A lot of screaming, people being restrained, particular people, always. In the first few weeks, there were a ton of codes on our floor on 4, and just a ton of codes in general. Where the first time we went out, we came home and had to be put in the activity room right as we got home. Couldn't even sign in because of a code. And it was I'm where am I? Not prison, but I just felt I went from living in kind of a normal-ish place where there was the rules and but it wasn't that big a deal to oh my goodness, lockdown, and I don't know, I just felt like I was in a hospital or something. I was just like, and the people, like I said, were very angry, much more aggressive, much more, in your, up in your personal space type stuff. That's a lot of a lot of high Valdo emotions all over the place. You have a lot of that, where that wasn't so much the case over there. You had a lot more people that expressed there was aggressive people, but, a lot more people that express stuff through isolating, through, kind of in their own reality, which you still have here. But here it's more outward aggressing behavior, or high emotional, screaming, crying, basically screaming, rage, crying, and it can happen within a second, someone can be just talking, fine as can be, and then they just start screaming and going into a rage. There's one girl that I swear, she can be so nice, and then a second later, it's like she just goes off into this rage. They have to restrain her. She's just screaming, and some people are like, oh, she's doing it for attention. I'm like, if she is doing it for attention, there's a big problem. And I don't think it's for attention. That looks pretty real. When she gets into that really out of control state, that looks, to me, as real as anything I'm going through. And I have a real issue with people saying people are doing stuff for attention, because they could easily say that about me. I don't think they haven't. I think some people think it. But anyways, so it's just a totally different world with these coats. And so today, we were all packed up. The van had called to give their message to say, ride will be coming soon. It's like an automated thing. We're all packed up. We're ready to go. We're walking towards the elevator, and it said, Dr. Helper to the first floor, all clear. So, of course, that means we can't go downstairs. So we sit in the TV room, and I'm like, okay, this is bad because, we need to get down there. And we were sitting there, and it got to be like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I don't know. And I was like, okay, we really need to get down there. What is going on? And so we, Jess kind of poked her head out and poked her head through a stairway and tried to see if we could get down. Because sometimes, depending on where a coat is and where you are, sometimes you can sneak around and get up, out a door or up a stairwell or something into an area of the floor that's not, right where the action is, and you can get upstairs. You're not supposed to. But, some people will see, like, especially Jess and I, and know how hard it is for us to navigate, when there's a lot going on in the halls. They know how afraid I get. They understand and try to help. But this was a complete situation of, we were up on this floor. We would have needed to take the elevator or the stairs. All that was blocked out. And everything, the reception area was blocked out. At first, we heard that someone broke glass in reception. And that really worried me, because I was like, okay, what was it? The window, the door? What did they do? And, someone was saying, well, it's safety glass, but it cut someone. And I'm like, oh no, what is going to happen? All I could think was, it's reception, that whole big area, the whole lobby where you sign out. Like, there is no way we can get down there and get out the door with glass. And I don't even want to, So I was just like, when I heard that, I was like, oh no. It turns out that they were, there's a window, like, at the nurse's station where you can, like, they can open and close it. It's had issues where it's, like, broken or something. I don't know if originally it was broken, but, like, part of it got broken. Well, the rest of it got totally broken, like the glass. They must have just smashed it. And, so we don't know what happened. And like I said, it was tempered glass. It was safety glass, so it shouldn't have cut anybody, but apparently it did. I don't know. That's just what we heard. We're not supposed to know what's going on, which is kind of funny. Like, at Albany Care, you overheard it, and, like, you could ask staff, hey, what happened? And they'd be like, oh, like, they'd say, like, someone did this, and you knew who that person was. Like, you just knew. And since we've been here months, we are getting to know, like, stuff they'll say about the person, or just, like, I don't know, like, the look on someone's face. Like, Jess will say, like, I can tell it's her again, because just how they're looking, So, but I was just like, there's no way we can get downstairs, because the ride is already coming. They only wait 5 minutes. The front desk is probably in total chaos. Again, I thought it was the main reception. So I'm like, I don't know what everyone is doing, but we can't get downstairs. So I had to call the ride and cancel. And then I called my mom, because my mom is paying, and I was upset. And I was like, we can't leave the building because the reception and and I was crying a little bit. I certainly wasn't definitely was not in a panic attack. She's never heard me like that. But I was suitably upset, and she was just like, just relax, everything, and it'll be good. And then I called Megan and I wrote Megan. I said, look, this is what's going on. We can't leave the building. And it was a situation I never, ever, ever thought would happen, that we would just be stuck in the building and couldn't get out. But that's what it was. And, it really made me upset living here, because it's like, I don't want to deal with somebody being so angry that they smashed glass and we have to be, staying here through all this and we can't even get out the door. I'm glad I wasn't down there when it happened, obviously, because I would have been completely traumatized, no matter what area of the floor I was in. And, it would have been so much worse, but we were just, it could have been much worse. I could have been down there, whatever. We could have been waiting and it could have happened. I don't know what they would have done then. I don't know if we would have been we could have been on the first floor and not be able to get out the door, theoretically. So that's what was going on. So we couldn't go. And I was so upset because, I wanted to go. I wanted to start talking with her about all the strange stuff that goes on in my head and in my body. And even though I'm really scared about it, I want to know how she can help me. And one of my friends really wants to know how she can help me and is really interested in this therapy that she does, this DBT therapy and other types of therapy she does. And so we wanted to do it, but we couldn't leave the building. I sent her the video that I made yesterday explaining what was going on. It was for her and other people, but it was for her because I wanted to verbalize everything in a way that was understandable, so that, first of all, because I wasn't sure I could do it in the moment. Second of all, if I walked in the door and she saw something or heard me upset about something, she wouldn't be like, huh? So, yeah. That was the morning that we couldn't go, and so I took a nap, and then I got up, and then I've been hanging out on the computer all day. My mind has been calmer. I haven't had any psychic vision things since last night. I think that regardless of what's going on that level, if I'm meant to have psychic gifts, I'm meant to have psychic abilities, and apparently we all have them, and whatever, that's fine. It can't be going on while I'm dealing with all this emotional and physical body stuff. It just can't be. It's too much for my mind to handle another layer of perceiving things. If I were just, if I were more stable, even if I was like in therapy and I knew what was going on with this stuff and I was working on it and then this happened, it would have been so much easier. But it went from, sensing this spiritual stuff to way more of it coming up, and then it just overwhelming. So I imagined a door, because I said, sometimes this will happen, I'll just use a metaphor and then I can see the picture in my head. I wrote to someone, I believe it was Betty or Lisa, I said, it's like someone opened a door and all this stuff came out. And then I was like, wait a minute, open the door. So I pictured a door where all the, psychic, spiritual stuff lives, and I just closed the door and locked the door. And then I sort of got a picture in my head that wasn't anything I had imagined, and it was scary. And it wasn't a ghost one. It wasn't one put there by whatever this thing is. It was... Oh, look. See? Clear the first floor, Dr. Helper. There's one going on right now. Yep, and I can hear the people running. See? People were down there probably just hanging out, in the dining room, in the activity room, walking around, going in and out, and now everything has to stop. It was a live demonstration. Okay, so, I think it was a real, it wasn't a vision that was been played with, but it wasn't a nice vision either. So first I tried to get rid of it or change the picture, and I couldn't, which usually means it is not something I made up, or I imagined. And then I was like, oh, the window, because it was like it was a vision of something outside of the sky. So I just imagined closing the window, and so the door and the window were closed. And ever since then, I've been really calm. The only thing I've heard in my head is music, which is great. A lot of people hear music in their head, especially musicians. It's a good thing. I've just been a lot calmer, and I think it's been a lot about closing the door and the window. Hey!
Hello.
What's going on?
Talk.
I know. I was just telling my fans about that, and we got a live demonstration, didn't we? Yes. So, that's been a huge thing. And it's something I never imagined. It's like, just shut the door. And it's not something I took from a book. See, that was quick. That was very, very quick. It can be 5 minutes. It can be an hour. So, it's not something I stole from a book. It's not something with like fantasy magic in it. It's just me imagining a door closed and none of that stuff in my head anymore. So my hope is that it'll stay. A lot of stuff that I come up with that relates to the stuff in my head going on, I use like concepts in fantasy, and then that stuff just doesn't seem to stick. But I think this will stick, and it has stuck today. And I've been really grateful for that. So that whole layer of things has calmed down considerably. And I need that break. Like, I really do. It's interesting. One of my friends has a perspective that's like, you need to get, not you need, but I'm like, hey, get used to it. This is what's happening to you, and I'm there for you. This is happy. This is a good thing. And when I've read about people that have these abilities and they discover them, it's almost like, getting, having a baby or getting married or turning, 13, or I don't know, having something in your life that's big and scary but good. And there are these articles about, this is what's going on, this is how, it's okay, you don't have to be scared. And that's kind of like her perspective. And we talk about it, and she said, it makes me sad that you are afraid to accept this, because for her, it was part of her life since she was probably born. My other friend, who is a friend of her, and they've known each other for a long time, I don't believe that she hasn't had it since she was born. I don't know anything else except that. So her perspective is more like, if you don't want to have these visions, like, you don't have to. Like, you can change this stuff, and it can stop. And she said, I experienced something, I didn't like it, and I prayed, and then it went away, and then so she kind of has a little bit different perspective on the whole thing. It gets strange when we get into the subject of the ghost thing, because the way that the psychic, the one that has had the thing since she was born, and her perspective on the ghost thing works for me. The other one's perspective on the ghost thing would work for me if it worked. She told me something to do, and because she told me, she gave me the advice, and I decided to try it. And me and the other friend finally were like, no, that's not gonna work. Like, that's just not gonna work. You can't change something that the ghost put down. Like, you could, at least I can't, and she didn't think it was wise. So it's just interesting, different perspectives. But I think deep down, I know that two people that I'm friends with only want the best for me in whatever way that is. And I believe they're both right. I think that if everyone has this ability, then it makes sense that it can be, opened up by something. And what I've read on it has been like, big life-changing things. Like, and they mentioned trauma. They mentioned, having a really serious illness. They mentioned, starting a family, or, big, huge, life-changing things can cause it to come about. They mentioned a couple of things that do make sense to me, like, you switch your friends. You might not have the same friends, and sudden weird things might happen, sudden shifts and things. So it makes sense. And the psychic stuff I do believe in, because like I said, I think I told you a long time ago, my friends, are the most peaceful people I've ever met, and they're doing amazing work, and, so what the heck. I just never thought it would happen, to me, and it is very scary. So I think both perspectives, all perspectives are valid, and I think both are in what I'm working with. It's just interesting to see both of them. And so I think that I just need to try to put that on hold. If it keeps coming back, then maybe, there's a case for like, okay, maybe, the person that said this is something that's meant to be happening right now might have something going there, and maybe I need to, kind of work on that path of like, okay, this is a lot at once, but I have to try to take it in stride and realize that this is just, it's something I'm taking in with my senses. It's just not my eyes or my ears or my nose. Oh, well, my eyes, never mind. But yeah, so we'll just see, but I feel a lot calmer having done this. I don't think I ruined anything. There haven't been any other spirit things going on, which is great. I wasn't trying to get rid of them or move them or do anything because I know you can't. I was trying to just shut off the faucet of stuff that was pouring in. And I asked, because she's on vacation right now, but I did ask her mentor, and he's very busy, but I would think you can turn it off. I would think that if it got turned on, you can turn it off. Not that you chose to turn it on either. And that's the other thing. Spiritual stuff has never been my thing. I've never really had any spiritual, background. My parents did raise, baptize, or we went to church every so often, and I had communion, but I really didn't have a faith or a whatever. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with anyone that does. I just didn't. It just hasn't been part of my life or my identity. I think something that huge, you should feel like you have the ability to choose whether that's in your life or not, and to what degree. And I think like how this is happening, I feel like I don't have the, how it's happening, I feel like I'm not being given a choice. It's just being pushed on me on top of too many other things. So I want to kind of try to keep that away and say, okay, maybe 3 weeks from now, I'll want to feel these things. Maybe it'll help me in my therapy, whatever. But at this moment, I can't. So I want to do something to try to stop it. So that's kind of what I was doing. But yeah, I have been just on the computer, writing back and forth with my friend, talking, doing some different stuff, trying to find more people that might be willing to talk to me about different things that have been going on. Do we have to go to meds? Oh, I guess not, because she's going back to her room. Yeah, let me just check that on. Yeah, we have like 10 minutes, so. Anyways, so, yeah, I've been talking about that and just talking about how things have been going. My body feels okay. Anytime I lay down, I always feel this pressure thing in my arms and legs, like someone's pushing on me, and I have to do the twisty thing with my arms back and forth, like I'm trying to shake something off that's wrapped around my arms or something, or legs. And I try to just ignore it. And I was talking to Betty about it, and I'm like, so do I just let my body move like this, or do I just ignore it? And she's like, well, it depends on how brave you are. And that I love the stuff she says. It's just so funny. She's like, it depends how brave you are in that moment. I was like, so I try to ignore it, and usually it goes away. Or I go to sleep or whatever. But that's the only thing that's gone on. I haven't had any other weird things except for, this morning I was upset. But it's strange how easily I switch gears on things in an emotional, like, shut-off way that I never could. Even without the blacking out. I mean, the blacking out was a huge thing. I'd be there and then I'd be gone for minutes and hours and days. But even without that, I can be feeling something and then not feeling it, very quickly. And so that's kind of what it was this morning. I felt upset about it. And then I was just, it's like turning your head and it's just like, I like turn my head and then turn back and it's gone, but yet other things stick in my head like crazy and I can't get rid of them. Mostly those vision images things that I could not get rid of. Which is another reason why I hated it. I don't think it wasn't a sensory thing I could integrate or have any reference point for, except, you imagine stuff in your head, but there's a difference if it's just put there. So anyways, I've been doing okay. I've been listening to music and just chillaxing. It's been a nice day for me, other than not going to therapy. And I'm hoping for more days like this, and I'm hoping I'm gonna stay calm in my head and the door will stay locked, and the window. And so yeah, I'm good today. I'm pretty good, which is nice to say. It makes such a difference. Support makes such a difference, being able to talk to people that get it, or at least really, really, really want to get it, or at least have really strong empathy of how hard it is that no one is getting it and that you've been stuck for months like this, is such a huge thing, because I can actually say stuff and I don't have to go on for like ever and try to explain something and they don't get it. I can say it the first time and they'll either be like, yeah, I've heard of that, yeah, I felt that, yeah, I know what you mean, like I've seen someone that has this, or oh my goodness, I have never felt or known that, but that sounds really scary and horrible, and I can't believe that you were stuck with this for months and no one did anything to help you. You know, and that's kind of the support I've been getting from my friends that I've been messaging and talking with on the phone, and it's been amazing. And I wish I had gotten that support from day one, but I'm happy I have it now. And it makes such a difference to just message and talk and let me go over the same things over and over again and tell me to refocus when either they get tired of it or they think that I'm just totally not going to calm down any other way. But my friends that talk to me know how I process stuff mentally. They're working on trying to help me process stuff more emotionally, because that's really difficult. I'd rather just say I'm feeling overwhelmed and like I'm going to have a panic attack than actually feel overwhelmed and start to feel like I'm having a panic attack. And I can do the first one really easily and the second one really not. And so, yeah. But I was thinking about the processes that I've been dealing with, not so much the strong emotions, but the stuff in my brain that gets stuck. You know, the way my muscles freeze up, the legs and arms moving thing, the talking, the listening, the sensory stuff. And it is like a breakdown. I think breakdown is a good word for it, because the process breaks down in some important way. You know, your legs aren't supposed to, your arms and legs aren't supposed to just randomly freeze up for no reason and hurt and whatever. But somehow, and out of nowhere, just, I'm not thinking about anything, or I haven't been physically harmed, and I haven't been thinking about anything bad, but yet it just happens, or my fingers stiffen up or whatever, or, you're supposed to be able to speak unless you have like a actual brain problem, like injury. And, the whole process of speaking isn't something that you should have to think about, unless you have like a disability in that area. The way you listen, the way sounds and senses are perceived is usually pretty straightforward. And yet it's not when one or the other of these things happens. And they don't all happen at once, thank goodness. There have been times when stuff has happened side by side. There have been times when it's happened, totally out of the blue, one thing or the other. And you don't know what's going to happen. For the day whenever my hands went numb and stiff, I was like, okay, this is horrible, but I'm probably going to feel it every day for a while. Because that's how it used to be. It was like I would get something, and I would feel it for like days and days and days. It didn't happen. I haven't had numb hands since the day I had it. I don't know if it's because I was like cut down or judged by Dr. Cleary and my brain just shut it off, or what. But I haven't had it, And so it's just completely random. And, I wish there was a way to and it's so frustrating because, I knew all these different people from Massachusetts that were really helpful to me and would be really good therapists for me to see, but they're back there, There's this woman named Eve Kodiak who does amazing, she's an amazing musician. She loves improvisation and piano, but she also does this brain gym stuff and this infant reflex stuff, where all these different reflexes that we're born with, that we develop from being, a fetus or whatever, to being, a baby born or however long, like a year old, I don't know, are really important and help with certain problems, and they get out of whack on certain things, and then you actually retrain your brain to do something different. And I think that that's what I need more than anything else in the world. And I don't know if there's someone that can do it around here. I trust her. I always wanted to learn the piano, and we did some piano. But definitely, if I was back in her area, I would want to do that with her, because she would probably do stuff with my legs and arms and fingers and hands and I don't know what else. So yeah, it's just sad that these people are so great, but I can't be in person with them, but I'm stuck with a lot of people that I don't think are great and that are doing absolutely nothing. A lot of times they're just neutral. They're not negative. They're not positive. They're just neutral. Sometimes they are negative. Whenever they say I'm doing great, when I just spent 20 minutes telling them that I'm sensing that water changed and it really bothered me and it really scared me, or I say my hands were numb and stiff and I felt like I couldn't move my fingers and I couldn't type and it was really horrible, and they say, oh no, it's fine, it's just this happens and blah blah blah, and why are you crying like that? It is the most invalidating thing. And I just can't, I can believe it because people don't it's hard for people to understand stuff they don't know, and that they're afraid of. And if you don't have a reference point for something, it can be really difficult. But I feel like these are professionals that run this place. The state takes all my money, and they should do better. If there's something that they don't understand, they should consult with somebody that does. They should get outside help. They should help you find the right help for you if they can't find it. They should read up on stuff so they can understand, especially if someone's dealing with stuff for months, and read up on, I don't know, trauma in the brain or something. I don't know how to help someone through a panic attack. That would be nice. No one has ever helped me through a panic attack here. One of the reasons is that I haven't let them see it because I knew they wouldn't help me. I'm very sensitive to knowing whether someone might be able to help me. I took a huge risk with Cleary and actually let myself panic a little. Because first of all, because I had to. I was so scared of the hands thing. And he was so invalidating that I'm never going to do it again. And I have such control in a way of that I bet you I will never do it again in front of him. It just won't happen. That's why it took one of my friends 20 minutes to get me to actually feel overwhelmed. And she's like, you've been telling me you're overwhelmed for 10 minutes, but you haven't really, you haven't really felt or released any emotions around it. And so then I did, but and they're the sweetest people in the world. And I just wish that, I think Angela too, I think the art therapist, I think if I had something wrong, go off in front of her, I think it would have been okay, But it's the same thing when you see aggressive people or anxious people. I have seen someone have a panic attack, actually, and nobody really did anything. It was a situation where there was lockdown, which again can make people very anxious that you have to stay in this one room and you're stuck. And that could be a trauma for somebody, which is a big thing that I hadn't even thought of. Being stuck in a room with all these people, not being able to leave could be a traumatic thing, and yet they subject us to it every day. So it's just ridiculous. And I wish I could move, but I can't right now, and I just have to deal with what I have to deal with. But I am just disgusted, and I'm not going to keep talking about it. I tell them all the time what my symptoms are, and they say, okay, it sounds like you're doing good, because I sound so good. I sound like I know what's going. I sound like I know what's going on mentally, which I am trying to. And even if I am emotional, I've cried in front of them. They just ignore it. They just wait for me to be done, and then they keep going. They usually don't say anything, and that's just it. They don't encourage. They don't help me get through it. They don't tell me really to stop. They just wait, and then they're done, and then that's it. It's just nothing to them. And so yeah, they will sign your points card, you get points for doing certain things, and you can get snacks or whatever. They sign that. They do your care plan. If you're really upset or something's going on, they help you. And of course, if something hits their meter of a protocol for something, then they're right on your face. But other than that, they're not there. And so that's why I love my friends, and I love the people that'll just let me vent about this endlessly, and the people that'll send me songs to listen to or just talk about whatever. And it's just amazing to have these people in my life, and I feel so grateful. And sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it, especially with the two people that have been really helping me. I feel like they just have their own lives, and I am probably really taking up their time, especially Betty, especially that one, because I get what she's saying, and then I have to go through 10 million examples of it on different levels to continue to get what she's saying. And there are things that I know she wants me to do and feel, and just because she wants me to feel happy and healthy, and I can't do those right now, and that makes me sad for us, I guess, both. And I wish I could be the person that she feels I am, I guess. But anyways, I will talk to you later because we do have to go to meds. And I will upload this and the other one. And yeah, that's about it for tonight. Okay, bye everybody.
Ribbon, web, stop button.